So I have a few ideas myself as to what might be going on, and I think there's many layers to it. I think I'm going to break it down over the next few weeks or so as I think a bit deeper into it. But it really starts with the belief system in the conspiracy minded. And you often hear this term used as there's no such thing as ex-CIA or whichever service a person has worked in, including the army and all the rest of it. But if that was true, then mentally I have to go back to when Tucker Carlson left Fox, or when he probably actually. Well, if we have to keep this, if we keep this in mind, then we have to go back to when Tucker Carlson says that he applied for the CIA. His father worked in the CIA, as far as I know, and he applied for it, but he didn't make it. But what if he did make it? What if he made it and, like Dan Bungie, not like Graham Allen works in the media to influence outcomes and people and all the rest, movements, people, outcomes, all the rest of it. I mean, maybe he was better suited to that type of role. And when they began to realize that TV or cable TV in America, as it goes, when they realized that the internet was fast consuming that to the point of becoming almost obsolete, then they had to get ahead of the game, but quite a bit ahead of the game, because if they'd done it as a last minute move, say when cable TV was on their last legs due to my generation and a bit older than me dying out, and then the next generation not even knowing what that actually was, except for maybe old videos of seeing it on YouTube or whatever other outlet there is to preview that on. What if the reason that happened was to get Tucker Carlson embedded into the YouTube or social media type system or the podcast world, which was clearly taking over at that point, because the younger generation viewed in a different way, consumed media in a different way, in smaller pockets of information as well, as opposed to sitting and watching a 2-hour program. Well, they'll watch a podcast for 5 hours, but I don't mean that. I mean in the format necessarily that it was in. But I believe that is probably what happened. But there's many. I'll go into deeper what I actually think about that. But that's just where I believe it starts for me. Obviously, it's happened way before that, and there are other people that are set in there. But I'm talking about the mainstream media characters that they had to implant into the social network. But I also believe that there is another layer of something going on, which is what I want to really address in the current moment, because it's due to the Candace Owens situation and the Tyler Robinson and Erica Kirk and all the things that are being allowed to be, not that they should be stopped, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, the things that are allowed to be to grow out there, these ideas of all these different things that possibly happened to Charlie Kirk, and all of them have the potential to be true. And all of them have the potential to be just outrageous ideas, but either way, they should be allowed to exist, and that's a fact. But I think that there are many things going on. One is, I don't believe for 1 second the organic growth of the people around Candace is anything but organic. I believed, and I watch Candace most days on a repeat. I watch Baron and all the rest of it. I like most of these people, but that's not my point. My point is that I speak Manipulese and I can smell it. I hear it in every corner. And I believe there was a collection of people, like with Tucker, that imagine an audition scenario where you have a Big Brother situation going on, and they bring in these people who are almost, except for Candace, almost failed in their field, have gotten like a touch of it along the way, but pretty much failed. And I've heard, the reason I come to this conclusion is I've heard Baron slip up many times in the way he refers to the circle of people. And it's almost like over time I've watched them play this relay where they go by and they tap someone else on the shoulder by metaphorically bringing their name in through different broadcasts, and all of a sudden there's another person added and there's another person added. But Baron Coleman often goes on about his history, and he was doing radio, blah blah, and all of this for years, and I'm sure he was. But my thing is you're telling me that you were that good at what you're doing for all this time, over a period of time, but you never made it. So you really weren't that great. It's just you've been given an opportunity, not just due to Charlie Kirk's death, due to I believe, a job role and being planted in that position. Now, these are all just theories of mine. That none of this is based in any form of reality or any truth at all. I've even tried to do research into, and to be quite honest, a lot of these people's background ends pretty dead. It doesn't seem to go very deep, you know. There's certain things mentioned, and that's it. And so that's not my point. My point is today, I'll talk about each of these individuals as I go through and why I think what I think about most of these characters. It's not based in nothing, but it isn't based in fact either. It's not a not a nowhere situation either. There are some reasons that lead me to believe that there's some evidence in respect of people's language and behaviour and the things that I've said that lead me to come to these conclusions. Not just Baron. He's the main culprit in terms of who I see unintentionally slip up every now and then. But I think that they have been used as well. I think they thought they were outsmart in a situation. I think there's a double bluff going on. They have been enabled to present outrageous theories, outrageous in respect of normal society, not so outrageous to me, outrageous theories that have been left to go rampant and to enable people to lash out at others online and make it look like their lives are in danger. So they're allowing these people to go on with these wild theories so they can in fact curb language. So they can bring in all these laws because they can't get around the First Amendment, although they've been doing it anyway for a long time. But curbing it more on a mass scale. And I've said for a long time that the reason people are allowed to speak on X the way they are is this has been part of this issue all along. Not issue, this has been part of this plan all along to take away people's freedom of speech. And it's not even about freedom of speech. I think what they're really trying to take away is freedom of criticism. But I also think that, and I watch Candice, as I say, on the rerun most nights. I can be objective, speak manipulese, and still enjoy watching someone. I'm basically saying I have my chosen select of people that if I'm going to be manipulated by or attempted manipulation by, it'll be the ones that I choose, i.e. Baron or Coach Colin or Candice. I just prefer to know that I'm watching it in a conscious way. I just enjoy the way they deliver what they deliver. A lot of what they say isn't based in fact. It's all relativity and perspective, you know, like most things in life, to be fair. But I don't honestly believe that what has been has been presented as the greatest investigation of all time into her friend's death is in fact a double-layered sword here, where it's going to be used to take away people's free speech, and it's also going to be used to curb freelance journalism, if you like, or citizen journalism. They will bring in certain guidelines and certain rules that will mean that citizen journalists can no longer be that. And I think there's always been an element of people have been manipulated to enable Candice and Tucker and people like that, as the older elites die out, to put in the next layer. I think Candice was always going to run for some kind of power, position of power. And I think this argument that we're all, this live soap opera that we're all being delivered, while I enjoy watching, I'm not buying it. I'm really not buying it. I mean, I have to be honest, I go with Dee Dee when it comes to not necessarily Charlie not being dead, but I believe this was the biggest presentation done in front of people for AI that we're ever going to understand until a couple of 100 years down the line, that till generations after of us will understand. Because with all of these things in terms of what is available, we are 100 years outside of the knowledge that the things that they are giving us. So you just look at mobiles, what they gave us before they were able to use them, you know. Look at AI, what they're giving us, the toys of AI now. Do your little meme, do your little video, do your little voiceover, make your little song, you know. But boy, they're making a lot more than that. They're making realities, in my opinion. They're making realities that don't exist, you know. And that's where, for me, I'm all about advancement. I have to use AI because of certain ability issues that I have. I have to use AI in some areas. But I think that, in my opinion, I really do think this was a massive, yes, a psyop, but not just as simple as a psyop that will remove the final layer of reality as we know it. So as I say, I enjoy watching the people I watch, but I am going to go into, over the next few weeks or so, I'm going to break it down with each person and why I think the things I do. But anyway, I will speak soon about other people. I just wanted to, about other people, in regards to other people, I just wanted to put that bit out there about how I think that there's something really massive going on, but going on in pockets, because I believe if they tried to do what they're doing in one big fell swoop at the moment, it would be rejected. So the things that were rejected along the way, they knew that their approach, we've trained them how to approach this through what we've said and what they've allowed to be said and what they've stopped being said. Yeah, let's see how this rolls.